Hi friends, it's Belinda here from Bee Making Joy, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a drawstring. I'll be showing you both the I-cord drawstring and the crochet chain drawstring. So for the I-cord drawstring, we need double pointed needles or a circular needle of any length. The point is our needles need to have tip on both ends because we'll be sliding our stitches back and forth along the needle. So this I-cord is a 3-stitch I-cord. So to start with, we'll cast on 3 stitches. I think any method of cast on works. I use the knitted cast on. And then to start each row, we slide our stitches down to the other end of the needle so that our working yarn is coming from the left side of the stitches, and we're going to start knitting on the right side of the stitches, bringing this yarn over. So we just knit those 3 stitches. And then slide them again to the other end of the needle. Again, so that our working yarn is coming from the end of the row, we'll pull it behind to knit from the right side of the stitches. And we just keep repeating those 2 steps. Knit across the row, and then slide the stitches down to the other end of the needle. And just keep on going. Oops. So after a few inches, we can see that pulling the yarn from the left side over to the right side is closing that gap on the back side of the tube. So it's making a nice uniform cord. Now, as to what size needles to use the one that's appropriate for the yarn. Like maybe the one that's in your pattern or the one that's suggested on the yarn label. Too big will get too loosey-goosey and you can't tie it. And too small, it gets too tight and it's hard to knit. So one that's appropriate for the yarn. And as far as how long to make the I-cord, it's suggested if it's for a waistband, it would be the circumference of your waist plus 30 to 60 inches so you have room for tying. If it's for a drawstring bag, it would be twice the width of the bag, or I could say the circumference of the bag, plus about 8 to 10 inches so that you have enough to tie. So for this particular one, I'm going to go 24 inches, so I will be back to tell you what to do after you get to that point. Okay friends, I've got my 24-inch long I-cord drawstring. I'm going to close off the end. It's not a bind off per se, it's closing off all those live stitches. So we will cut our yarn, leaving a decent sized tail, put our stitches back to the right end of the needle, and instead of knitting the stitches, we're going to pull the yarn all the way through each stitch and then take it off the needle. Through each stitch. And cinch it up tight. And that finishes off the I-cord, and we need to deal with these yarn tails. We'll take a tapestry needle, a blunt tip, put our yarn on it, get my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. And then thread the tail through the center of the I-cord tube. And keeping it inside the I-cord for a few inches. And then after a few inches, we can pull it out. Smooth out the cord and cut the rest of our tail. And do the same to the other end. And you don't have to watch me do it. And then this is what we get. Now, if you wanted a thicker I-cord, cast on more stitches. And now let's clear this away and get my crochet hook and show you how to make a crochet drawstring. And in this clip, we're going to crochet a drawstring. So, whichever yarn we're using, we want to use a hook size that's close to what it says on the label. So this one is saying use a 4mm, and oh, I happen to have a 4mm, but I'm not a crocheter. I'm not a crocheter, I'm a knitter. So I might not have an extensive collection of hooks, so I'll use one within close to that size range. Now, I know a real crocheter might critique my technique, how you hold it. I say we hold it whatever we need to do to get the job done. So we start with a slip knot. It's a slip knot. You put that on the hook. Cinch it up. And then we simply make a chain. So just wrap it around, grab it, and pull it through the loop that's on the hook. And the first one is tight and snug. Then it gets easier as you go. And it's quite as simple as that. We keep going until we are as long as we need to be. And the ideal length for a drawstring, like say it's for a bag, is the circumference of the bag plus 8 to 10 inches to give you enough material to cinch it up and tie a bow or knot or whatever in it. So in this case, I'm going to go for 25 inches, and then I will be right back. Now, what might come into question is how tight or loose do we pull that stitch each time? Now, I'm a fairly tight crocheter, as I am a fairly tight knitter, but it is this section of the needle, this shaft, that sizes your stitch. So each time I'm pulling it through, I'm coming back down to that shaft to snug up my stitch to keep them nice and uniform. If we were doing it all up here at the tip, our stitches would get way too tight, way too tiny. It's getting too tight. If we were to pulling it all the way down here, we're going off into a different size. So this shaft right here is what's measured as 4mm. So that's the size of your stitches. Of course, with a crochet chain, we're not checking for gauge. It doesn't entirely matter. We just want to make sure it's nice and uniform. Now I've chained for as long as I need to be. And I'm not measuring the tail. I'm measuring it from the first stitch. So I've got my 25 inches. And then I'm going to cut the yarn. Wrap it around the needle wrap it around the hook one more time and pull it all the way through, just fastening it off. Now I've got my piece. Now these tails, I could decide to just leave them be, trim them up a bit. They are secure, they're going to hold just fine, so I could decide to cut them right here. Yeah. In this case, I'm just going to trim up those tails evenly and leave them be. But if it's a yarn that might fray, I'm going to definitely want to weave them in. Okay, now let's put in this drawstring. I'm using a paper clip, a safety pin, to hang on to the cord while we pull it through. Now I can just guide the safety pin through. Get my ends even. And there we go. That will cinch up nicely and tie shut. I hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching.